there's the two options. You can either do your estate planning and avoid the probate process, or there's probate. It's like the two options you have. Like, so not trying to create fear, it's just that's life. Estate or probate on average cost 5 to 8% of the entire estate.
To crypto, Facebook, Instagram accounts.
Really?
Yeah, even those things can go inside a trust now. You can live into infinity now.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Legacy Life podcast. Last week we talked a little bit about estate planning and the different people that could affect your estate plan, either for better or for worse, depending on how you set things up and if you're willing to have the conversation or not. And so as we continue to kind of peel back the layers of estate planning and, everything involved in it, we're going to have a little bit more of a conversation about more of the technical side of things today. But we've talked a lot about this topic specifically, and I guess my first question, just to start us out as we talk about, a little bit more of the technical things when it comes to estate planning, is what would you say the problem with estate planning is right now?
The problem with estate planning right now.
Or sorry, not estate planning, but probate is what I meant to say.
Oh, probate?
Yeah, probate.
Probate specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probate, that is for those who don't know, it's the court proceeding that happens if someone has a will and they're going to go into probate. That's just what has to happen. I mean, a will is what I call a death document. Yeah. It doesn't do anything for you while you're alive. It has anything to do with you after you've passed away. And it has to be filed with a court. And then what the court does is it posts it publicly in a newspaper, online. It goes out to your creditors. And it has its day in court. People can see, and everything's posted, your assets online, who's getting what. And it can be a lengthy process. I mean, the truth of the matter is with probate, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of money. Yep. And it can produce a lot of stress.
Yep. And an outcome that you were not hoping for as well.
It's very possible that can happen.
Right. And so, yeah. So probate is a killer in and of itself.
It can. I mean, for some people, they have no choice. That's what they have to do. I get it. But if you can avoid it, there are ways to avoid it. And if you can, I'd say do it, because probate invites a fight. We have this court case. We've made it public. It's online. It's in the newspaper. It's inviting someone to say, hey, wait a minute. Like, okay, last week I used names. This week, Bob. Bob is going to be the name we use this week. Okay, so yep. Bob, he is your neighbor, and he has always admired your sports car. Okay? And the way Bob remembers it is that you said the sports car would be his when you passed away. So you can imagine his surprise when he goes online and sees your will and sees his name is not mentioned there. You can imagine his surprise when he's not listed there as the beneficiary of this car. So he goes to court and he says, hey, wait a minute. This is not the way I remember it. I was told the car's mine. It was a verbal contract. I don't think this is right, so I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, and because I think this is the way it's supposed to go. Okay? And so we're literally opening a door, for the arena for someone to come in and try to get things that were not
for everyone and their mom to come and decide.
Yes.
Like, hey, I feel like I deserve this from this person. Yeah.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. And so that's the deal with probate and what can happen, and one of the potential downfalls. And no, we're not trying to create fear in people.
Right.
We're trying to give you the reality of what we have seen through experience.
Right. Because
what can happen.
There's the two options. You can either do your estate planning and avoid the probate process, or there's probate. It's like the two options you have. Mm-hmm. Like, so not trying to create fear, it's just that is
the
life,
reality. That's life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So last week we talked about a few different types of like trusts,
Yeah.
with the different situations of people.
Yeah.
But just to kind of, when talking about probate, and I know and initially I wanted to hit on it as well. You're talking about how probate is very expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they're like, well, estate planning costs money too. And you're like, right, it does cost money.
Yeah.
But estate or probate on average cost 5 to 8% of the entire estate.
Right. So yeah, exactly.
Whereas estate planning, what would you say like the average cost of doing estate planning is? Like
Yeah. Okay. So
there's the high end and then there's like the low end.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. So in the in between median, you can get a decent estate plan done for a little over $1,000
right.
usually, right?
As opposed to 5 to 8% of your entire estate.
Right. So even if someone has a small estate, what if their estate's only $100,000?
Right.
What's 5% of that?
$5,000.
$5,000.
As opposed to $1,000.
Right. Or you
Yeah.
could spend $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 on a good plan that avoids probate.
Right.
There's the savings is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a great point.
Yeah.
I almost forgot that we were going to bring that up. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I know it's that whenever I think about it, I'm like, that's one of the big points right there.
It's a no-brainer.
Right. It's like, I don't want my family to go through that process, but then also it's like, just from a efficiency perspective, I'm losing extra money that didn't need to be lost, and letting more people give their opinions on my estate than I wanted,
Right.
and so, and it's making life harder on my family. But okay, so how do we avoid probate?
Okay. So, and just a side comment before that,
Yeah.
yes, there are some people watching this where it can cost even less than what I said. And for some people, it will cost more because their situation is a little more complicated.
Exactly.
I just want to
Yep.
put that out there.
It really depends on the complexity of your situation.
Yep. But on average, for, most people can get it done for the amount we said.
Right.
Okay. So how do you avoid probate? So there's many ways to do it, but one way is what we call a revocable living trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And last week we talked about a revocable trust, discretionary trust, an AB trust, or a bypass trust.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're talking about a living trust or revocable living trust.
Revocable living trust, yes. And, a revocable living trust is basically a private document, okay? And it's not subject to becoming the public record.
Right.
So right there, that takes away here it is, right? It's not in a newspaper. It's not public. And things owned by the trust, the assets can avoid the probate process because it's a living document. It's not just a death document. The living part means that while you're alive, if you're the trustee of the trust you've created, means that you have control to make changes. Okay. But it's all within your purview. And then the trust itself, on the beneficiary end, the trust is then authorized to distribute the assets based on how you've set it up and what you've decided how things are supposed to go. Kind of like we talked about last week, some of the ways you can set it up. It's very customizable. I want to stress that. It's not boilerplate. It's if you want to say my children are getting 25% of the assets, like a certain percentage at a certain age, and then another percentage at another age, and then the rest at this age. Like you can set it up that way, like either a dollar amount or a percentage. The distribution model is really up to you how you want to do it. Is it some of it going to a charity? Is it going to produce income for generations to come? Like you really have a lot of, be creative. I think we've talked about that a little bit in past episodes, but you really have a lot of freedom.
It is
how you set it up.
Very, very customizable.
Yep. So, and we talked about Bob wanting the sports car, but what if you have kids that you're afraid of, fighting it out in the trust? So, what if you have a trust, a lot more freedom, flexibility? Can people still contest the trust, right? You can probate, they can. Well, the truth is contesting a trust is very unlikely, but if you have, let's say you have 3 kids and they're each getting a third of the assets and you're afraid, they may fight over this, there's a really easy fix for that. You can just say in your trust, if anybody contests the trust, your portion is $1.
Yeah.
cures the problem right there.
Right.
Anybody who contests it, you get $1.
Yeah.
That's it. And your assets then get divided between the remaining two or whatever.
Easy enough.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
So, what can go in a trust? People ask that. What kind of things can go in a trust? Your home, just about anything. Cars,
Bank accounts.
bank accounts. Interestingly enough, digital assets can go into a trust now.
So any of you crypto people that have all the crypto in the world.
You ready for this too? Crypto, Facebook, Instagram accounts.
Really?
Yeah. Even those things can go inside a trust now. You can live into infinity now.
Well, I mean, depending on who you are, like a lot of those social media accounts, they make a lot of money for people. So it's like almost providing an income source.
It is. And so those things can go in a trust. But there's one of the major, biggest assets that don't go into a trust. And those are things like IRAs. Do not go into a trust, because in the name IRA, I mean, there are IRA trusts. There are very specific types for that. But in your revocable living trust, you're not going to put your IRA because it's an individually owned account.
Right.
Okay. And so by definition, if it goes into a trust, it's no longer, you can't be, by that definition, you'd have to get the money out of the IRA, pay tax, and then the money qualifies to go in the trust. But that probably would not be advisable in good tax planning.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
So you would you have your named beneficiaries on your IRA and it would go directly to them, but you wouldn't put it in the trust. Same thing on the beneficiary side. Don't make the trust the beneficiary of the IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because then the same thing would have to happen.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be some people out there challenging me, these big trust people who study all kinds of trusts, say, well, yeah, but there's these specialized trusts you can do for IRAs and whatnot. That is true, but that isn't necessarily for everybody.
Right.
You want to make sure you consult a professional, your investment advisor, your state attorneys, and make sure that, they set it up correctly for you if that is in your best interest.
Exactly, right. But it is a little bit easier to just write someone as a beneficiary than...
It is.
Yeah.
And they can use the 10-year, if you're children, you get the 10-year rule on the IRA inheritance right now to efficiently take the money out.
Yep.
Over the 10-year period. So
yeah, exactly.
And so that's actually a gift to give them as opposed to just liquidating a third in taxes right now, whatever your tax bracket is, and just giving them the rest.
Right. Yeah. So that's like the portion of estate planning. If you're to pass away, you plan out what's going to happen if you pass away. But what happens if, sometimes people become like incapacitated, or they're not dead, but they're not functional, or they can't communicate anymore. Like, how do you plan for that, and who makes the decisions for you? Okay.
So there's a couple of answers to this because you're bringing up a really good point, because estate planning is really 1/5 of the total plan.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a really important piece of the puzzle, kind of the glue for the other 4/5, which we won't go into today. But 2 weeks ago, we covered like long-term care.
Yep.
We should probably do an episode on long-term care and estate planning, because that's a really important component. But aside from that, you're talking about too, what if you can't make the decisions for yourself financially or health-wise, right?
Right.
So part of that estate plan is to have what we call your powers of attorney in place. There's a financial power of attorney. We call them your advanced directives, might be another term you hear.
Yeah.
Financial power of attorney, your healthcare power of attorney, so that people can still run the finances, pay the bills, and make those decisions for you. Or if you have to go into a home, assisted living, you have someone earmarked who can take care of that, which can be your spouse. But if your spouse is no longer here, if they predecease you, it can be one of your children. Like, you can have a succession of people who fulfill that role.
Or it can be Bob if you want.
Or it can be Bob if you want. That's correct. Not that Bob, the other Bob.
The other Bob, yeah.
Maybe he does get your sports car.
Maybe he does.
As a payment
if you take care of me, you get my sports car.
Get the sports car.
Yeah.
But you could put that in the trust and actually spell it out.
Exactly.
So having those people in place to help take care of those situations, really important. That comes along with the estate plan, with the trust documents. You have your advanced directives, probably have a living will. The living will, that's who decides if the machinery stays, if the plug stays in, or that you get unplugged from the life support.
Yeah.
And usually we we advise that if you can keep your children from being on the living will, that's in a lot of cases in their best interest to protect them from a lifetime of guilt and having to make that choice. That can be really emotionally difficult. I know that's not always possible, but that's another part of the process.
I know we've touched on it before in the podcast, but again, having your financial power of attorney and your healthcare power of attorney, two different people, can sometimes be a very wise decision.
Yep. Having them be two different people if possible.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a lot of responsibility on both ends. And because sometimes people can be weird, you don't necessarily want the person on the health side in control of the financial side. Sometimes it's good just to have a buffer between the two. I know that might not be always the case, but sometimes it is.
But legally, there's no issue there. It can be the same person.
It can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least here, you'll have a pour over will. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute. I thought, I thought there's a will and then there's a trust and they're different. Why have a pour over will with a trust? Well, the pour over will is not the same as like just having just a standard will. It's what we call the catch-all. Okay. The pour over wills there is because if you've put assets in your trust, maybe there's an asset you purchased and you passed away before you could get it in the trust.
Yeah.
So the pour over will is the catch-all. It takes what you forgot to put in there and it pours it over into the trust.
Oh, okay.
And makes sure that it stays out of the probate process. Okay. So
that's good. Or you'd have to be updating your will like always,
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a really great idea. So pour over wills are great that way. And so those documents are what we call the companions with the trust that really round out the plan nicely.
Yep.
And help protect and do everything that you want your situation to do.
Yeah.
So it really brings a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't try to plan in fear. We really try to help people just have their hard conversations and help them plan so they can feel everything's going to be okay. Relationships are protected. Everything's going to happen the way we want. And so that's what those documents are. Now, as far as the long-term care piece, I think we'll do that in another episode because that itself is a dedicated conversation to how the trust planning process can really help with the long-term care situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be Rockefellers to have a trust.
Nope.
But you do need a plan. Probate is optional. We advise against it if at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you can avoid it, do it.
Right.
If any of you here are watching this and you have never had a conversation about your estate, about your wishes, and you think it's time, you can get in our show notes. There's a link to our calendar where you can come and schedule a short appointment. It's free. We can go through your situation and see what might work best for you and your family. And we'd love to meet you and love to hear your story. So, and if you haven't subscribed to the show, please hit the subscribe button and the alerts so that you can see every time an episode comes out. We do once a week. You can stay in touch with everything here we're educating on. And if you find value in what you're hearing, please leave some comments. We'd love to hear from you. If not, we'll talk to you next time.